Hey guys, Rob with RubberToe Assembly here with another 10x8 lifetime outdoor shed. Getting right to it, we have the gables here. Section 3, the Gable Assembly. This is the small door gable. It gets this rod here with the end caps. It's called the header bar. Your doors are going to be lined up with this. Just to the right, when you're building this from my side, you saw they put the line down the middle there. You see the hole where the door is going to connect into, the center hole. It's actually a little bit right to the right of the center of that door gable. And when you put these screws in, set your torque really low and make sure it's the header bar, that steel header bar, is pressed against the plastic nice and tight. Like clamp it if you have to, or push down against the ground. Make sure it's tight. And then just a quick little zip on these, a quick pull or two of the trigger to get these screws to go in. You can see there the hole that the door is going to bolt into is just to the right. I know it's from this angle it shows to the left, but yeah, you spin it around on my side, it's just to the right. When you're putting that thing on, that's where you want it. And then this here is the other gable. It looks like a wall gable. Yep, it's a little bit larger. And as you see here, I'm deburring it. It had a lot of plastic buildup on the edges here, and that edge right there you see, great deburring, is going to connect to the wall, one of the side walls. That's just going to get that gable. It's no doors on that wall, but you can see I'm slicing the stuff right off there, making a nice clean edge. And then sometimes in the middle here where they connect, sometimes there might be in there. I mean, all edges you always want to check all the pieces here on that edge. So now it's nice and cleaned up, and I'm connecting them right down the middle with 4 of those little shorty screws. Boom. Number 3 Phillips tip. Make sure you have a nice edge right there where I'm putting the screw. Right there, nice flush edge, and then go ahead and do the next screw and the next screw, and then the top screw is going to be right there on the top line, just as you see there. 4 screws snugged in there, so that piece is connected together. And then here is a famous trick I have. You set your vent, is what they call it, and it goes just as you see here. It's going to get a screen on top of it. And here's my trick. You line these 3 top holes and 2 bottom holes, line them up perfectly where you can see through those holes, and you can see into where it's going to drill your screws. And then you place the screen right over here, and watch this, folks. Boom, you just hold it down just like that, lift up and lift right back down, right in the same exact spot, and those holes are lined up nice. Then you proceed with the small screws that come with it. 5, I think they might give you an extra one, makes 6, but or an extra washer or so. And you just put little washers on those little screws. I already got them pretty ready to go there, and then you zip them in. I like to crisscross them until all 5 are in, kind of like lug nuts on a rim of a car. You just jump across, but you know, whichever ones look like nice, clean, and there's no screen, you just drop them all in. They should all be. That one's a nice, perfect one. On to section 4 here, the left door assembly. And the first thing you do here on the door is slide on a channel here. I do it vertically. I think the instructions show it lay it the other direction. But make sure if this is your left door that little groove in your channel is going to be on the outside face of the door, because the right side door is going to overlap it. And then, this being the left one, the left door gets this little block, deadbolt block. You just slide it in right there where it goes. Slide the channel all the way down to about, I don't know, maybe a foot or half a foot or so, where you can get the next block in, because don't forget you're going to have that second block you have. It's going to go at the bottom of the door, and you can see I lay cardboard down all the time. This is grass underneath, so it should be fine. And you put that next block right there. Yeah, that's in the hand already. It's got the little groove where it slides through, and you can see I pull down on the door, and it makes that slide right up in there perfectly. Awesome. That's how I do them. That's the easy way to do them, in my opinion. I mean, you have to tap it with a mallet if it's in this, the way the book shows, in this, like that. Anyway, getting right to it, it should be nice lined up already, but if it's not and you see a little plastic, just run, just like you see here, run that screwdriver through these 2 holes, And if there's any, plastic buildup in there, you just clean it out somehow. Sometimes a little skinny flathead screwdriver, it scrapes off the plastic nice. So you begin to install your hardware here. Run these 2 little carriage bolts, the only 2 that fit in there. Make sure the little square is dropped into the channel there, so it sits nice and flat, those 2 screws. And then they're going to go, just as you see here, from the outside of the door in. Make sure that hole is pointing toward what's going to be the bottom of the door, because you're going to run your lock through there, that little hole. So make sure that's pointing towards the bottom of the door. You run these 2 screws all the way in. You can feel when they're a nice snug fit and they're flat. And then you put them on the other side. Gets just the nuts, I believe is what it says in the book also. But you get, with the other side door, you get 2 washers that fit over there nice. So sometimes I use those washers. I just put one of those extra washers they give you, because if they don't go here, they're going to be extra. So if you have 2 extra washers, you can put on there first. Sometimes I do that. Anyways, as you can see there, nice snug fit. That's attached. And then your handle looks like, yeah, it's all one piece. Sometimes these handles are little 2-piece things that you have to clip them together and then put it. But this one's a nice solid 1 piece. First screw goes through the bottom, and it's going to be done loosely. Give it a couple of pulls of the trigger there, but loosely, so it still swings around nice, just like you see there. And then you want to line up your 2 screws on the top of this handle first, and you want to have a little bit of leeway there where you can jiggle it around and move them if you have to. So if you tighten that bottom screw, it's too tight, you don't get that little extra movement. Anyway, first top screw goes right in. You can see the hole where it's going to drill into, the pre-drill in the handle. Boom. Second screw in. Then you can come back later and hit this last screw at the bottom. So handle's installed nice and perfectly right where it goes, nice and snug on there. And your left door is almost complete. The only thing next is the rod, the pull rod that goes through here. So if this door is to your one that has a small gable, then this rods are going to be about 6 inches sticking out the top. But if it's to a larger gable, let's say you have 2 doors on the side, then there's 4 of these poles, because you have 4 doors, and so there's 2 long poles and 2 short poles. So just make sure whatever shed you're building, you get the right sizes in there. On to section 5, the right door assembly. First thing you see here I'm doing is cleaning, deburring, they call it, all of this rough edges and extra plastic buildup that's sticking out, that's going to act as a spacer if you don't clean that shit off. So I just get the little utility knife or X-Acto knife or whatever and make them nice and flat and flush, so we can put the handle and stuff on there later. Nice. And your next door channel you have, it's going to be overlapping, so make sure the indentation is towards the inside, and it's going to overlap your other door on the left. You don't get any blocks, deadbolt blocks at the top and the bottom of this door, so you can go ahead and slide on the door channel all the way down from top to bottom. Sometimes it gets a little stiff, and if you can't get it all the way down, as you see here, I flip the door over because the door is still light, it's plastic, and you just pull down on the door and use the ground to your advantage to run that steel channel all the way where it's supposed to go. Then I lay it on the side just as you see here, nice little spot in the cardboard, and do the same as I did with the left door. As far as the hardware goes on here, you clean those first 2 holes out, a little screwdriver. Make sure there's no debris inside those 2 holes, so these 2 screws will pass through there nicely and right out the 2 holes in the metal on the other side. Again, this piece, you want to make sure that hole for your lock to run your lock through is pointing towards the bottom of the door, bottom side of the door, which would be where, yeah, to the right. And because it's going to line up with your left door. And then as you can see there, the holes are nice and deburred, cleaned out, so when the handle goes on there, it'll be nice, flat against the wall, the door. So these 2 carriage bolts, they first get a washer on the inside, and then they get 2 little tubes, little spacer tubes that you put on each one. Boom, boom, just like you see there. Do it just like this, and then you have your little lever that you put on. Make sure it's just as you see here, and then while holding those screws in with my left hand, as you see, I put that last piece on that goes there, and your 2 nuts on the end. and then I just snug them up a couple of turns with this wrench right here. And yeah, you can see here, give it a turn or two. You don't want to really bear down on these too tightly, because you don't want anything crimping that channel, number one, and you want that right there to be swinging nice and loosely. So yeah, just snug those down real good where that thing still swings, and you put your handle on. This is a two-piece combo. That first piece you just saw there, it snaps right into the handle. Make sure it's in those holes and it swings nice. You push the thumb lever down, and then it pops through the door into those holes that you cleared out already with the knife. Made them nice and flush, and so you line up this bottom hole just like you did the other door, and then almost all the way, just give it a little bit loosely on that screw there, because you want to do the same on this door. Line up your two top screws, make sure they're going into the holes, and so you want to have a little bit of leeway there on your handle in case you have to move it to the left or to the right a little bit. So the first screw is in, then you go to your second screw, boom, put that one in. So both top screws are in, you know it's lined up. You come back, boom, snug up that bottom screw so the handle is on there tight. Basically just like the same procedure as the left side door that we just did, with the only without deadbolts. And this hardware is the next piece to be installed. This here is bracket, is what they call it, little plastic piece that gets lined up with that one hole you see there in the lever on the door handle, the thumb lever. Yep, you see that great shot of the hole that it gets screwed into, just as you see here. I just put a Phillips screwdriver right there, as you see there, and run it up into that hole. Sometimes you can use a drill gun if you have a long, like a 6-inch number 2 Phillips extension in there. But you want to be careful. Don't want to screw into your hand with the drill gun or anything, or even with the screwdriver. But yeah, usually about 10 turns on this screw, 6 to 10 turns or so, and it's snugged up nice and tight, and it wraps around just like that. And that's going to hold your latch arm to the plastic, and it's going to raise it and lower it. And it's going to have this spring attached just as you see there, through that one little hole, and then through the other one. That's going to keep it up and down, bringing it down. Alright, another RubberToe assembly. Thanks for watching, you guys. Great shed here. Alright, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.